In this video, I'll be showing you how to balance a chemical equation. So our first chemical equation is CH4 reacting with oxygen to give us carbon dioxide and water. So there are a lot of ways of balancing this chemical equation, and the first one and the easier one is when you are given a simple equation and you don't want to involve a lot of intricate calculations, you can use the speculation method. For example, let's say we have one carbon here and one carbon here, so we don't need to balance carbon. We have 4 hydrogen here, and how many hydrogens do we have? 2. So since we have two hydrogens, we have to multiply this by 2 in order to get 4 hydrogens. Remember, the reactant and the product side must be the same. So in fact, let me write the reactant side and the product side. So we have 1 carbon, also 1 carbon, and we have 4 hydrogen in the reactant side, and we have 2 hydrogen in the product side. So we have to multiply by 2 to get 4 hydrogen. And for oxygen, we have 2 oxygens in the product side, and we have how many oxygens in the product side? 4, but we have 2, so we have to multiply this oxygen by 2 to get 4 oxygen to make it the same as the product. So erase these 2 and 2 oxygen. So now we are done with the first method. We have 1 carbon, 4 hydrogen, 2 oxygen, 2 oxygen. So let's move to the second method. So I remember when I was back in high school, I used to be the only one using this method, and my teacher used to tell me that this method is hard for most students, but I prefer to use it because it involves maths, and then there's no doubt in maths. Like, you get the coefficients as correct as possible, and there's no try and error method. So let me just show you how I do it. So first of all, I assign the compounds letters using the ABCD method. So if you have a third compound or element, you can simply put E and then it continues. So what I will do is basically, let me say what element do I have in A? I have carbon, right? And then how many carbon elements do I have? Just 1. So since it's 1, I'll just put A. But if it was 2, I'll put 2A. And then I don't have any carbon in the second element of the reactant side, so I'll just put is equals to, how many carbon do I have? Only 1, so I'll just put C here, because if it was 2, I would have said 2C. And for hydrogen, I have 4 hydrogen, so it will be 4A is equals to I don't have any hydrogen in B and C, but I have hydrogen in D, so it will be 2D, because since there are 2 hydrogen. And then lastly, we have oxygen. I don't have any oxygen in A, but I have 2 oxygens in B, so it will be 2B is equals to, I have 2 oxygen in C, 2C. What makes this the last one different is, since the oxygens in the C and D, you have to add, you have to use the addition sign, and then how many oxygens do I have? It's only 1, so I'll make it D. So the second part of this this method is, if you see any letters that have 1 as their coefficient, for example A has 1. Yes, you can see it has 1, and then since A is 1, C also becomes 1 automatically, because A is equals to C. And then now we know A is 1, right? So we can put 1 instead of A is equals to 2D to find the value of D. So D becomes 4 divided by 2, that is 2. And what we have found A, C, and D, and we are left with B. And we know the value of C and D already. So to find B, 2B is equals to 2C. C is 1 plus D is 2. 2 times 1, that's 2. So 2B is equals to 4 and B becomes 2. So you just simply write the coefficients for the corresponding letters or alphabets. So A is 1, so you don't need to write 1. B is 2 and C is 1, you don't need to write 1, and D is 2. So as you can see, we got similar results with the first method, but this one is long, but it gives you a guaranteed answer that you're not going to get it wrong. So I hope you use this method. So let me bring another difficult equation for us to balance. By difficult, I mean the numbers are higher, something like C4, H10, and the rest. So for example, let's use butane. The formula for butane is C4H10 reacting with oxygen to give us carbon dioxide plus water. So using the algebra method, the method I showed you in the second place, let's put A. You can do it by yourself and then cross-check your answer in the end. A, B, C, D. So for carbon, how many carbons do I have? 4 carbons, so I'll put 4A. And I don't have any carbon in B, but I have a carbon in C, so C becomes 1 or 1C. And for hydrogen, I have 10 hydrogen in A. I don't have in B and I don't have in C, but in D I have 2 hydrogen, so I'll put 2D, which is the same as 5A is equals to D if you simplify it. And for oxygen, I have 2B is equals to 2C plus D. So since C is the only one with a coefficient of 1, let's say assume C is equals to 1. So A becomes 1 over 4 immediately, and D becomes 5 over 4. You just put the value of this inside A, so you get D is equals to 5 over 4, and then B becomes 2 plus 5 over 4. So simplify this, you'll get 4 times 2, that's 8, plus 5, that's 13 over 4. So B will be 13 divided by 8. So remember, we can't use fractions when we are balancing chemical equations. For example, in the IB diploma, you should put it as a whole number. So to simplify this, we will look for the alphabets which has the biggest or the largest denominator. So B will have the largest denominator because it has 8. So we have to multiply all the alphabets by 8 in order to end up with a whole number for all of them. So C becomes 8 because 1 times 8 is 8, and A becomes 2. 8 divided by 4, that's 2, and then D becomes 10, and B becomes 13. So you just simply need to write it in front of, or before the formulas. So for A I have 2, for B I have 13, and for C I have 8, and for D I have 10. there's a rule that you have to, when it's combustion, you have to make the hydrocarbon coefficient to be 1. So let's divide everything by 2. So 2 divided by 2, that's 1, and 13 divided by 2, and 8 divided by 2, that's 4, and 10 divided by 2, that's 5. So let me correct it, and this is 5. So thank you for watching my video. If you like it, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.